What is up, Will?
What up?
Do we not have audio on the video? Is that what?
Yeah, I think our intro didn't have audio, and because of the issues with our streaming platform, I don't think it had video either. But here we are.
I saw Alex Caceres, but I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, but it shows on our end, but then when I go back on YouTube, it doesn't show the video. It just hears the audio. This time
So
we
people
saw
probably
video,
think we
no
have
audio.
a fake Alex Caceres on there just talking.
Maybe, but this time it might not have even had audio.
Oh boy! Well, hey everybody, welcome to Story of the Fight. My name is Romero. That's my boy Will, and this is where we cover all things mixed martial arts. And if you like our content, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you're trying to figure out where to find our content, storyofthefight.com. You can find out where we're at, all the different platforms, and that's pretty much it.
That's it.
Hey, so a couple things, Will. One, your boy's a little under the weather today.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, right? I don't know if you could hear it. But the other thing is the UFC game. We had been talking about it before. I got it.
Yeah. There we go.
I got the UFC game.
When did that game
this
come out?
time, I don't know, dude, but this time I got the right version. So I just happened to be playing Madden the other night, and I was like, you know what? Let me check to see what games might be available to download. And then it's like spring sale. It's the first thing I see. I was like, oh. And I click on it. Dude, $10.
It's hardly worth it.
$10 to get the UFC game.
I mean,
played it a couple times already. Oh, is that when it came out?
Yeah. So it makes sense.
I'm a little behind. I'm a little behind, dude. I'm a little behind. But last night, UFC Fight Night, Kansas City. We had Holloway versus Allen. You want to go and just start covering the fights?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Awesome. So we had the main event, Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. Dude, going into this, I was like, all right, what are we going to expect here? And then I thought about it, and I was like, hey, I'm just expecting a Max Holloway fight. This was the typical Max Holloway fight. You know, he's going to have some good...
The opposite.
Really? I thought the same in the sense that he has some good footwork. He peppers, gets away, doesn't land any major shots. Mm-hmm. Your boy will eat some shots, though. You know, he usually eats one or two big shots. He has a granite chin, man. Some of those shots that Allen landed, you know, he had this thing where he was coming in with a double jab. And, like, as he's throwing the double jab, Allen would slip and come in with this overhand left and crack him a couple times. Yeah. But I thought that the high kick, he caught him with it a couple times too. But that's what I like. Whenever I think typical Max Holloway fight, it's gonna be high output, right? Pressure, and then he's gonna eat some shots.
Yeah. See, for me, I think the same thing, and that's why I think this wasn't like a typical Max Holloway fight because it wasn't the pressure. That was the big thing that was missing. And I thought it was super smart. And we've talked about even just last event with Izzy, it's like, and Chris Curtis both, they're counter strikers. They skirt around the outside. Chris Curtis doesn't really skirt around the outside, but he's a counter striker. And we had to see them be first more than they normally are, right? And I thought this was the opposite here. It was Max Holloway's usually the guy who's walking you down, peppering you with straight punches, shifting as he comes in, the body kick. But instead in this fight, we got a counter striker Max almost, where he's the one that's skirting on the outside a little bit, using Allen's footwork against him, really. That was like the big thing. Because going into this, it's like, okay, Allen has the edge in the power department. And that's pretty much it, right? He hits harder than Max. Max stings people with shots, but it's because he's like concussing them. But he doesn't have like that big overhand right or overhand left, like in this case, that Allen has. So he's going to pepper you. He's going to beat you down. You're going to trade with him at that pace, and you're going to start to wilt, and he's just going to keep ramping up. But we didn't really get that from Max in this fight, at least not early. The first couple rounds, it was kind of Allen pressuring to try to take out Holloway, and Holloway just doing weird little things to negate the footwork of Allen. Like he was doing this thing where he'd throw when he was southpaw, he would throw an lead leg inside like calf kick, but barely even to the calf, more to like the ankle. Like he's just flicking him in the ankle and tripping him up. He would step to the outside when when they were open stances and trip him up. Like he was really doing a good job of exploiting Allen's kind of like basic footwork. Like his footwork's not bad by any means, but it's not like it's not super crafty. He was following Holloway a little bit too much. He did a decent job at the beginning to cut him off, but his entries were like straight line entries that Holloway was really able to angle off of. And then you see him get cracked, and it was when he was moving straight backwards that he would get cracked, right? Holloway. Yep. It's not like when he would forget to angle, or maybe he's getting tired, he'd get cracked with a big one, but it's because he's moving back. But I thought it was an interesting performance from Max, especially because Allen is dangerous early. We've never seen him go 5 rounds. He was booked 5 rounds against Calvin Kattar, but Kattar blew his knee out in the second round, I think. Was it the end of the first round or the second round?
I don't remember, but I know he did blow his knee out for sure. Well, not Allen, but Calvin Kattar.
Yeah, so Allen, we didn't get to see him go the distance. Round 2, yeah, okay. So it was early. We had never seen Allen go 5 rounds, but we know he's super dangerous early, like when we watch him fight Dan Hooker. So it's like, okay, he doesn't have the greatest footwork. Let's kind of evade some shots early, let him get those big punches out, and then we'll start turning it on. And I was like, man, Max Holloway is like such a legend for being able to do that. You know, like obviously he's a legend no matter what, but seeing guys like Izzy, seeing guys like Max Holloway who have a very specific style, like you said, it's like, are we getting a Max Holloway fight? Because you know what to expect. But then he does something like this, where it's like nuanced and it's a little different at this stage in the game. To be able to change that based on your opponent, that's like elite level, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? I think you're right, because Holloway for sure wasn't pressuring as much as he did in the past. But I still feel like, because he doesn't have like that crazy one-punch knockout power, you know, but he just outstruck Allen, kept on peppering him with some of the counters, like you said. You know, man.
The volume was still there.
Yes, the volume was still there. In the beginning, like you said, he got caught with that left. A big left, man, right on the jaw. And he's backing up straight. Oh, shit. But then it was just a simple adjustment for him, where you take one step back and then there's 2 steps off to the right. You know, one step back, 2 steps off to the right. And he did that multiple times last night. But, you know, I think if you don't watch fighting too much and you watch that fight last night, you probably think this was a really close fight. But, you know,
I've seen some people say that.
Yeah, but don't like really paying attention to how much damage Arnold Allen was really doing, because I know he landed some big shots, but how many big shots were they? Yeah. And outside of that, it was just Max Holloway that, like I said, just kept on landing smaller shots, but it was repeatedly frustrating Allen. You know, and definitely towards the later rounds, you could start seeing the urgency in Allen. I know his corner told him, like, dude, you gotta put him out this last round.
What did Faraz say? Before the 5th round, Faraz said, it's fly or die.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to have to get it here, which was sick. And he went for it. I mean, that 5th round, he was very dangerous. He cracked Max a few
10 seconds. And even Max said, he was like, man, this was like shades of Ricardo Lamas. And I was like,
yeah,
let's do it, man. Like, if you want to go, let's go.
So, like, literally the last 10 seconds, Allen is like, I need a finish. And we'll talk about a fight later on where someone was in a very similar situation and didn't do this. But Allen cracks him over the top in the clinch and, like, literally, like, stumbles Holloway. Like, Max stumbled after that shot. And then Max was like, oh, is that what we're doing? And then he just digs deep and he's like, fuck this angling off. I'm going to go for it. It's 10 seconds left. Might as well. And they start trading. He cracks Allen. Allen stumbles, rushes back in to get one back. And then Holloway drops him. They didn't call it a knockdown.
No, so after he cracks him the first time and, like, he stumbles back and comes back and he says, like, let's go, give me more. And he steps forward and he really gets cracked. I was like, oh, you got to be careful what you ask for. Is there anybody, you know, when fighters bite down on their mouthpiece and just trade phone booth style, is there anybody more dangerous than Max Holloway?
I mean, we saw Izzy just do the same thing. And he
true.
Flatlined Pereira.
Straight flatline.
There's a few guys who, when they bite down, you better get the fuck out of the way, dude.
Man, he has the ability to just adjust so quickly and really make sure, like, that hook that he hit Allen with at the end, just so nice and tight, man. Right on the chin. Yeah, he's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and Allen was starting to get frustrated, like you said, because towards the later half of that fight, I thought Max Holloway did such a good job with the body kicks. He has a like stabbing front kick that he throws to the body, and then also that left body kick at the end of his straight punches, because they'll shift when he's throwing those punches. Again, Izzy did the same thing, where he'll throw the combo, shift, and then it sets up that left body kick, and he landed that throughout the whole night. You could tell Allen's slowing down a little bit, but he's just tough as nails. But in that fourth round specifically, you could really see Holloway start to exploit like his footwork, because he'd come in trying to hit Holloway, and Holloway would just bop, 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 and out, and then Allen's like flailing off to the side almost, and like he did that a few times where he's like trying to hit him, and then he's just like, nope. Like Holloway's footwork in this fight was incredible. It was really, really good. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, they didn't count the knockdown at the end of the fight, but I feel like they should have. That was a knockdown. Like
they didn't count it?
They didn't count. I'm looking at the official stats. They did not count the knockdown, which is stupid because he got knocked down with like 1 second left, and the bell rang as he was standing back up. But like,
it was a knockdown.
It's a knockdown. Let's be real. It's still a knockdown.
Yeah, man. Hey, shout out Regen.
Shout out Regen. Poor featherweights. You don't just have to have one champ to beat to become champion. Yeah, you really have to beat a champ to even get the title shot. And even then, even then, you better just hope for matchups that miss Max Holloway, because even Yair couldn't get past him, and here we are getting Yair a title shot.
That's true, but I mean, if you're the UFC, what else are you gonna do?
You have to. You
can't be like Volkanovski versus Holloway 10.
Yeah, because that was the other thing going into this. It's like, well, Holloway's last fight was the Volk fight, which he lost like pretty convincingly, and everyone's kind of wondering, is it Max slowing down? Is Volk just still getting better? All this stuff. Max is slowing down a little bit, but so the difference in his style in this fight reminds me of Clayton Kershaw, the pitcher on the Dodgers, right? Because Kershaw was dominant forever, right? He's still very good, but he's like 50 years old now, right? He's like towards the end of his contract. His fastball has lost like 6 miles an hour off his velocity. So what does he start doing? He starts developing his off-speed pitches, and he's not a power pitcher. He's a finesse pitcher now. He adjusted his game because he doesn't have the heat on his fastball anymore. So, okay, let me develop my curveball. Let me develop the changeup, all these things, because you have to get more crafty as you do start to slow down, because everybody does. So even if Max is slowing down, if he's able to change his style based off that, then
why not?
He could keep doing this. He could keep doing this.
And at a very high level.
Yeah. Regen says I'd watch Volk versus Holloway 10.
Dude, there's just some matchups. Volk versus Holloway, Reina versus Figueiredo. There's some of those. Pereira versus.
I mean,
we just saw it, right? Yeah. I mean, there's just some of those classic matchups that no matter how many times we see it, sign me up. Take my money.
Sign me up. Yeah, but that was a great win. I don't think the stock should drop on Arnold Allen at all. The fact that he was able to get in there in the 5th round, because that was the thing. It's like, can he go 5 rounds? And the fact that he goes out in the 5th round, he wins it on all 3 judges' scorecards. And I mean, looked dangerous that 5th round. I was like, this motherfucker better not drop my boy in the 5th round.
And that was his first loss in the UFC.
First loss in the UFC, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's very good.
Has a bright future.
And he's got Firas Zahabi, so like this is they have 25 minutes of things to work on now. They look, we went 5 rounds, but we didn't get the nod. It's not like we got finished. We didn't get caught with something. We lost a fight over 5 rounds. What do we need to fix? You know what I mean? Because if you get caught by like a random shot in a combo, it's like, what do we really work on? I shouldn't have got caught there. But when you have 5 whole minutes and you lost by decision, now you know what you need to address. And with a coach like Firas Zahabi, I expect Arnold Allen to come out a lot better in his next fight.
Firas Zahabi, man. Who else from that camp? I mean, you have is Charles Jourdain still over there?
I think Jourdain's still there. Firas is pretty picky. And people are like, is he even a good coach, or did he just get lucky with GSP? Listen to him talk. He's a very good coach. He's just very selective. He's very selective. He's a smart guy.
Didn't he have Kevin Lee over there for a second too?
Kevin Lee,
Kevin Lee was like jumping camps and stuff. Yeah. All right. By the way, his brother taken off.
Yeah.
With his being a food critic on TikTok. That guy's super
fun. Oh, really?
But anyway. Yeah, have you seen it?
No, I thought you meant because he's a fighter too. Kevin Lee, you mean?
Yeah. No, his brother's
a fighter too.
But now he does like food critic videos on TikTok, blown up, millions of followers, dude. Like all of his videos get millions of hits. He gets flown out to try different restaurants now. Like,
what?
Yeah, dude, he's turning it up, man. Turn it up. I'll send you some of his videos. All right, we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah,
Edson Barboza versus Billy the Kid Quarantillo.
Edson Barboza.
Yeah, boy, Billy the Kid.
You know, they say Father Time is undefeated, and Edson Barboza's like, fuck Father Time. He comes out here and absolutely starches Billy. Absolutely starches him.
He's so dangerous. First round Barboza's super dangerous.
He's terrifying. He's terrifying. Is this the
no
first
fat
time
on his body?
Guy is shredded. There's a point where Billy was in on a takedown, and he's got the underhook, and he's trying to lift with the overhook or the underhook, and his shoulder looks like it's made out of ropes. Yeah, it's not one solid muscle. It's fucking it looks like he's got like this, like fingers in his shoulder. The guy is shredded. I mean, you can see it here. Look at the top of his shoulder. The guy's it's insane. He's so fucking jacked. He's so shredded, and he's older now. Like, how old is he now?
I don't know, but
he's 37.
You know how they always say,
who looks like that at 37?
Speed. You know how they say first thing to go speed, right?
Yeah,
dude. He still had that switch kick, that leg kick that was so fast, and I was like, "What is going on, man?"
Dude, when he hit that on Billy, you could see Billy's face change a little bit, because no matter how much you know, like his leg kicks are vicious, all that stuff. I don't think there's anybody who kicks like that. No. There's nobody else. So unless you're training with him, you don't know what that feels like. And you can see Billy's face. What was that?
I mean, what do you do to prepare? You just have somebody come at you with a bat?
You just have Manny Machado in your camp, just ripping your legs with baseball bats.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Regen says Barboza's too shredded.
Yeah, dude is. I mean, look at him. Look at his shoulder. Look at his left shoulder in this picture. Look at his
timing
chest.
On that knee. The timing.
Well, that was the thing, because it's like, okay, Billy's gonna have to wrestle. He's gonna have to wrestle, and you hear the commentators. They're like, Billy's got to wrestle, and he shoots, and they're like, this is what we need, and then he eats the knee, and it's like, nope, that's what Edson was waiting for.
And as soon Edson knows that too. The knee landed on the chin, everything shuts off. You know, it's like it's like one of those like where people sometimes will stumble and they fall back, and like gets hit with the knee, arms, legs, everything just goes limp. Boom, falls straight down in place.
It was I mean, we were talking about this before. You still haven't seen it, but this was basically what it looked like.
Ooh, are you gonna play a video right
now? No.
So for anybody, okay.
I'm just gonna show a picture.
For anybody just listening, if you join us on YouTube, you actually get to see the pictures that we share of the fights as we discuss them. What is that?
That's the AT-AT from Empire Strikes Back. When it goes down, it falls face first like that. That was basically Billy. The way he fell was like the AT-AT falling, because he was just face first, hips up, on his knees, arms flat by his side, and then he eats a couple more shots for some reason. I don't know where the ref was, but and then gets up and starts. He's like, "What the fuck just happened?" I mean, he was
wasn't he? Was he the one that was protesting the stop?
I don't know if he was protesting the stoppage more than he was just like, what just happened? Like, what the fuck? I think he was just like, what the fuck? Because like,
I'm going in for a takedown. Next thing I know, you're like holding me back, and Barboza's over there celebrating.
Yeah, I mean, he was out. So I saw some people kind of clowning him for protesting the stoppage, and it's like, dude does not know what happened.
Regen saying, I never thought I'd see a reference to Star Wars on this show. Yeah. And I'm glad that you explained it, because I had no idea what the heck that was.
You have to watch it, man. It's crazy.
A robot? What is it? All right. I mean, quick co-main event.
I'm just happy for Edson, man, because he's had some ups and downs. He got injured. He was going to retire. I mean, you look at he's coming off of 2 losses before this fight. Before that, he had 2 wins. Before that, he had 3 losses, then a win, 2 losses. Like, it's been up and down for Edson.
Yeah.
But goddamn, is he good?
He was a murderer's row, dude.
Murderer's row. The guy he's faced. I mean, listen to this, dude. Bryce Mitchell, Giga Chikadze, Shane Burgos, Dan Ige, Paul Felder, Gaethje, Hooker, Kevin Lee, Habib, Dariush, Gilbert Melendez, Anthony Pettis, Tony Ferguson, Paul Felder, Michael Johnson, Bobby Green, Cowboy Cerrone. He's only faced killers since for 10 years he's faced killer after killer after killer after killer after killer. And the guy's just, I know
we didn't go through and make our picks, but when you saw Barboza versus Billy the Kid, what was your initial thought?
I honestly would have picked Edson.
Yeah, same here. Okay.
Billy's very good, but he's a little just a little too sloppy. Just a little bit. And Edson is the opposite. Edson is one of the sharpest guys in there. So I thought he'll find a home. I didn't think he was going to catch him with the knee and flatline him. But I thought he'd be a little too sharp, a little too vicious for Billy. He leaves himself a little open. I thought Billy was going to have to make it a dogfight, but it's tough to do that. It's really tough to do that with Edson. Guys have done it, but it's still hard.
All right. You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right. We had Murzakanov versus Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby.
So talk about
Murzakanov undefeated.
You see a name like that and you're like, watch the takedowns. And instead it's like, watch the overhand because this dude cracks. He cracks, man.
Dude, I thought Murzakanov did such a good job disguising his first attack the first couple of rounds. Because he has this little step in that he does. And he'll step in jab. Then he'll step in hook. And then he'll step in. And I was like, did he just throw a flying knee? He'll come in with the step in on the right and then throw a left flying knee. And I was like, okay, he's doing a pretty good job of keeping Jacoby on his back foot and guessing the entire time on what he was going to be throwing.
Yeah, and Jacoby is such a good striker, man. He has so much experience in the striking department that I was like, Murzakanov cracks, but Jacoby's just so well-versed that he'll find a hole. And he never really did up until the third round, and it took Murzakanov he said that he broke his arm at the end of the second round.
Is that what it was?
That's what he said. He said he broke his arm in the second round. Obviously, he was also exhausted. So the third round was all for Jacoby. He was there. Jacoby was landing. And who is it? Montoya is Jacoby's coach? Mm-hmm. It is, right?
Yeah.
So he in the corner up until or before the third round, Montoya tells him, because he was like, what do I do? Nothing I'm doing is working. And I was like, damn, that's a tough spot to be in going into the third round of a fight. And Montoya's like, just keep doing what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, but he's losing. He's getting cracked. He got dropped. He lost the first two rounds. And your advice is keep doing what you're doing. And then he went out there in the third round and kept doing what he was doing. And he was winning the round. And it looked like he was hurting Murzakanov. And I was like, holy shit. The guy who just lost 2 rounds got dropped. He said, keep doing what you're doing. And it's working. And then with a minute left, Jacoby was like, oh, I'm also exhausted. And starts going for the takedown. And it was like, no.
I know.
Now's your chance. It was the opposite of Arnold Allen. But clearly Jacoby was also concussed and exhausted. So I don't think it's necessarily
so frustrating. There's a couple times that he landed a shot and you could see Murzakanov. I wouldn't say he was extremely wrought, but I know that he was tired enough to where his legs looked like they were going out from underneath him. And I was like, dude, this is your chance. Like, if you just flip right now, and you just put him up against the cage, and you can almost see the relief from Murzakanov. And Murzakanov gets the overhook on one of those and just holds on to him. And Jacoby's trying to pull away. And Murzakanov's like, no, we're good. We're good right here, bro.
We're good. How much time is it?
So,
we're good.
Man.
It's a tough loss for Jacoby. I think he'll probably go back and rewatch this and be like, shit. But I also think he was getting cracked the whole first 2 rounds. And on top of that, must have been exhausted as well. So I don't necessarily think it was maybe like a fight IQ mistake necessarily. I think his body's just given up, and some people can push through it, some people can't. But at the same time, Jacoby usually can. So I don't know. Maybe he's going to be frustrated with himself for sure.
Maybe he thought his legs look like they're going out from underneath him. Easy opportunity for me to take him down and maybe put him away that way.
Maybe, but if you're Jacoby, it's like you're a striker. Your high kick is insane. He probably broke his arm with the high kick. Strikers strike. You know what I mean? Let's get some striking in. And he was piecing up 1-2 high kick. 1-2 high kick. He threw the high kick 3 times in a row in the third round. And then after that, knowing that Murzakanov's arm was broken, just keep throwing the high kick. But obviously that's hindsight, right? But it's a little bit of a frustrating one. But Murzakanov looks dangerous. That dude cracks.
Yeah, but also for Murzakanov, you're also showing a little weak spot in your game, if you want to say that, right? Where if somebody's able to survive that storm in the first couple rounds and they just continue pressuring, you might gas out a little bit.
But maybe he also learns from this, like, hey, pace myself a little bit, because he was throwing a combo every like few seconds. Like they'd break, and he's like, all right, bam, 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 cracked him, break, bam, bam. Like maybe just chill a little bit. If that's the gas tank situation that you got, I don't know, but I'm impressed by him. I thought.
Moves to 13-0 now.
13-0.
Must be doing something right.
He'll probably get a top 10 fighter now.
Let's do it. Get him in there.
Let's do it.
All right. We also had Ian Cutelaba versus Tanner Boser. Tanner Boser going to the 205 division.
Yeah. Which everybody was calling for forever.
Yes. And Ian Cutelaba, dude, look at that picture. The face-offs. Wayne's always so good, dude.
Yeah,
always so
Brooklyn
good.
Wren in the back.
It's just like, what is wrong with this guy? I think, was it Cutelaba that was going up against Khalil Roundtree?
Yeah.
And screaming in his face, and Khalil Roundtree like just jumps and he's like, oh God, like what is going on?
Yeah.
So funny. But Ian Cutelaba did what Ian Cutelaba does, man.
He cracks. You got to get past that first round. You got to get past that first round.
We've already covered a ton of Tanner Boser fights, right?
Yep.
Too many to count, Will. And one of the things that I would always say is like Tanner Boser at heavyweight moves like a light heavyweight in there and he cracks like a heavyweight. It's a beautiful combination. Watching this fight, I was like, man, Tanner Boser looks like a light heavyweight that is moving like a light heavyweight. So that kind of like that speed advantage and movement that he had is kind of gone because you know what? You're going to face some other fighters in there like Ian Cutelaba, who's extremely explosive. But Ian moves around like a light heavyweight, but cracks like a heavyweight. Dude.
That was the thing for me, like, because going into this, everything you just said. And Boser, it's like he's used to fighting these slow, plodding heavyweights. But you get in there with someone like Cutelaba, who's explosive, who is a light heavyweight, who is way faster. He wasn't ready for the speed. Was not ready for the speed.
No.
He wasn't ready. What did you think about the stoppage?
It was good.
I thought it was fine. Everyone's like, he was getting up. He was standing up.
You know, the no nonsense, what's his name? Keith Peterson. Let's not put him in there with light heavyweights and heavyweights. You know, have him cover the flyweights, bantamweights, you know. Don't put him in there with these big boys. Because when he tries to get in there, like when he tried to get in between Cutelaba and Boser, I fear for Peterson's life, dude.
Yeah. He was the one that got cracked recently too, right? Going in to stop a fight.
Yeah. They just got to look out for my boy.
Yeah.
Stop the fight. You know.
Stop the fight.
All right.
Watch your fingers.
It's so funny. We also had Pedro Munhoz versus Chris Gutierrez.
Yeah, these dudes looking exactly like each other. Fighting. Look like two, like, you know, in like, look at this. A little bit of a thicker beard and less of a fade on Gutierrez, but when they were fighting each other, I was like, man, this is just guy fighting himself. And they're matching each other's strikes too. They're like 1-2 low kick. 1-2 low kick.
You seen that Spider-Man meme? Where they're like all pointing at each other. It's the exact same. Yeah. Dude, but Munhoz looked in fantastic shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
The pressure.
Munhoz is good, man. He's good. People forget about him. People don't talk about him enough. He's so good. The only thing
one of those fighters. Sorry, but I just say one of those fighters to me is that will probably never be champion, but he is top tier, man. When other people start facing Munhoz and they can beat Munhoz, then you're like, okay, now it's off to the races. Now you're going to be challenging for a title possibly, but he's so elite.
Is what you're saying?
Yeah, but like I think of Neil Magny as a gatekeeper. You know?
Well, there's different levels to gatekeepers. You know,
this guy's like a gatekeeper for me for like the top 5.
Yeah.
So maybe an elite gatekeeper. Neil Magny is like a bouncer, like before you enter the building. Pedro Munhoz before you go VIP. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Clubbing references.
Yeah, I've been to many clubs with but Munhoz he's so dangerous in the first round. He cracks people in the first round in almost every fight, and then can never quite get them out of there. He did the same thing with Dominic Cruz. In this fight, he cracks Gutierrez early in the first round, has him real hurt, close to stopping it, and then ends up going the distance. And it's really just Gutierrez is such a good point fighter, where he knows when to land his shots, he knows when to throw the low kick, he knows when to do these things to just carry on and just be like winning the fight. But then Munhoz did that, but better. He just did the same thing but better in the second. I thought the third round Gutierrez could have won that round actually. I think it was a 30-27 on most. Maybe it was unanimous 30-27. But yeah, all three judges gave all three rounds to Munhoz. I thought Gutierrez got the third round, but
it was a good fight.
Munhoz is just so talented, man.
Is this a fight where everybody was booing?
Yeah, I mean the crowd.
It was one of the shittiest crowds that I can remember in a long time. It was so frustrating. You had these two elite guys. Like it was a nice, really good fight.
Good technical fight.
It was a technical fight, yeah. And even so, there was a couple times that I thought Munhoz got a little sloppy because you could tell that the game plan was like pressure, like nonstop, be first.
Yeah.
And there'd be times where Gutierrez would take a step back and Munhoz would literally like sprint a little bit to get back into striking range.
And then get cracked.
Yes. And then he'd like run straight into a jab or run straight into a straight. But the thing that I saw about Munhoz too is like, even though he'd run in, like he runs in with like his hands in position at all times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he might get cracked with a jab, but if something was coming around, like he was blocking it and rolling it, and get caught out of position sometimes, but still always in a good defensive stance.
Yeah. I like both these guys, to be honest. Gutierrez is just trying so hard to get into that gate that Munhoz keeps because he's had some good wins.
We already have a gatekeeper, and his name is Pedro Munhoz.
You know what pisses me off about this though is you give Gutierrez his last fight was against Frankie Edgar's retirement fight, and it's like, why are we doing that? The only reason you do that is to like get eyes on the new prospect, right? That's why the UFC does that. And then he goes out and then loses to Pedro Munhoz, and it's like, what do we do that for? And it's like they could have done Dominic Cruz versus Frankie Edgar. They could have done that, and it would have been amazing. And instead of throwing someone into the dirt to hype up somebody else, they could have capitalized on the legacy of both these two fighters and had one more big fight out of them. Instead, it's
you're still hurting over Frankie Edgar's last fight.
I am. Frankie Edgar's fucking awesome. They did him dirty, man. They did him so dirty. He was such a good champion. In my opinion, never lost the belt.
Oh, dang.
But he beat Benson both times.
Okay.
Fuck Benson.
Hey, you take it easy. You just retired too, didn't you?
Yeah, good.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I fight with the toothpick.
Benson loses his number.
Oh, Benson Henderson. Who gives the fuck? I swallowed it one time. Well, maybe don't fucking do that.
Did he really?
That's what he says.
Oh, man. That must have been rough. All right. Hey. From talking about one of the legends in Frankie Edgar, moving on to another one in Clay Guida. We had Rafa Garcia versus Clay Guida, man.
What a fight.
Dude. So, hey, Rafa Garcia, I really think that people sleep on Rafa Garcia.
Yeah, he's very disciplined. Very disciplined.
He's got solid boxing. I think he trains with Cub Swanson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he comes in, let me see. When was his first UFC fight? There it is. Against Hawk Prost.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Hawk Prost pretty good. But I do remember Garcia coming in maybe a little too wired from Combate Global.
Yeah.
And you could see that adrenaline dump, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loses after that to Chris Gritzmacher.
Yep.
And then after that, he starts finding himself, a couple wins and loses to Drakkar Klose. And then a couple more wins after that. I mean, I think that he's somebody that
10 gallons of blood against what's his name? His last fight was his last fight. Like severed an artery in his head.
Yeah, I remember that. Clay Guida comes in, right? No more hair bouncing around, which kind of sucks, but
yeah, it's just him bouncing around still.
Yeah, it's just him bouncing around. And in that first round, it's classic Clay Guida bouncing around. And then Rafa's like,
he just does that. Yeah. He's like, are you only throwing hooks?
And he's just throwing hooks. And Rafa's like, all right, dude, you're bouncing around back and forth, but you always end up in the center.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because he goes up, down, left, right, over and over again. So he'd be like down, up, jab. And he just jabbed his face off for 3
over
rounds.
and over and over again. And it's like, hey, Clay, look at this picture right here. You don't think maybe mixing in a low kick would be good? If someone's just jabbing, because shout out Wide Body Media 135, 145, 155 is loaded. Include
loaded.
125 in there as well. 125 is also incredibly stacked. The whole
and
bottom.
To think that we almost did away with the 125.
It's fucking ridiculous. And the fact that we put a title contender fight on the prelims of this card, which we'll talk about, but again, so like you said, Guida comes out. He does the classic Guida. He's dancing around. Once he gets in the pocket, it's just hook, and he's gone. And Garcia's like, I'll just jab. I'll just beat him. Every time he's throwing the hook, I'll just jab him, hit him with the straight shots. So he adjusted to the hooks. And then what you would like to see is Clay Guida then adjust and say, oh, he's just going to jab. That's all he's going to do the whole fight. Instead of just doing the same entry over and over and over again for 3 rounds, maybe if I throw a feint, he'll throw the jab, he'll plant on that lead leg, and I'll light him up with the leg kick and force him to then adjust. But it wasn't quite there. Instead, he just kept doing the same entry over and over again.
When will we see the end of Clay Guida?
We thought we were going to last night. Takes his gloves off.
That was so funny.
Danny was pissed, dude.
Oh, he was so mad. And I loved it.
Gives a shout out to some kid. Happy birthday.
And his mom, dude.
Yeah.
I think it was his mom and some kid, too. You know what? Tell your mom happy birthday.
When you're Clay Guida, dude, you kind of get that. You should just get a post-fight interview, regardless.
Why not?
He's a fucking legend, man. He's got a fight in the Hall of Fame. What are we doing? Talk to him.
Yeah. Talk to him. That was so funny, though. Dana was so pissed off.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, man. But Rafa Garcia, still a lot to look forward to with him. He's only getting better. Clay Guida, maybe not this time. Or like Moreno says, maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not next month.
Yeah.
But he will retire.
Yeah.
This I promise, okay? You like my Brandon Moreno impression?
It's pretty good. You just needed some Legos.
All right, we had Bill Algeo versus TJ Brown. What a fight. What a fight. When 2 guys wake up and they choose violence, right? As soon as they wake up and they're like, I'm just going to go out there and swing and bang. Dude, you get fireworks, man. And that's exactly what we had with Algeo versus TJ Brown.
Yeah.
TJ Brown made some shots and then bounced back himself with some kicks, dude, some hooks that landed on Algeo too.
Man. He hurt him in the first round. I think all 3 judges gave the first round to TJ Brown because he was getting after it, man. Yeah, all 3 judges gave him the first. He was really getting after it. And Algeo was like, oh, we got a dogfight. But Algeo said, luckily, I thrive in dogfights. And he came out in the second
from
round.
The pound.
Yeah.
From the dog pound, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm just going to say like all the cheesiest lines I can right now.
Yeah. You almost have to like fight smart against a guy like Algeo and just like try to pick him apart and decision him because like once you start going to war with him and trying to finish him, it's like lights him on fire and he's just a savage, man. He's so fun to watch. And TJ Brown was super fun to watch in this fight too. They were both just cracking each other. TJ was doing a much better job with straight punches. He was beating him to the punch in that first round. But then Algeo hurts him bad with that, what was it, an elbow? He steps in with the elbow as TJ's coming in and just shuts him off real quick, gets the finish. There's the difference. Pedro Munhoz, no disrespect. I'm a big fan of Pedro Munhoz. But he's hurting people in the first round, and he can't quite get the finish. Bill Algeo hurts you, he's getting the finish. I mean, he swarmed for it. He swarmed for it.
So my notes, I just read my first note. It says I wouldn't say it's the highest level of striking, but it was a high level of aggression, and it was a
high level of excitement. Yeah.
Oh my god, it was awesome, dude. It was awesome.
Yeah, great fight.
Great fight. All right. Not much to say on that one though, other than the fact that it was one of the funnest fights all night.
It really was one of the best fights on the card. Both these guys just get back in there as soon as possible.
All right. You mentioned a title contender fight, right? We had Brandon Royval versus Nicolau.
How the hell? Yeah, so Regen says Brandon Royval on the prelims is so frustrating. They really don't even try to get people invested in that division. It's like this weird, it's like they don't want it to succeed. They don't want it to succeed because of the whole DJ drama and everything with Mighty Mouse. They were going to shut the division down. All this stuff happens. And then Regent. The crowd was going crazy for Brandon. He could be a star without the belt. He is, dude. The raw dog thing, like he's a savage, fighting style brawler. Like he's a savage every single time he fights. It's so much fun.
When you started an organization, getting yourself fighters like Brandon Royval is what guarantees eyeballs.
Yep.
Coming in, right?
Exactly. And to put him on the prelims, and not even as the prelim like feature bout, like the main event of the prelims, he's not even that. And this is ranked number 4 and 5. Imagine if they had who. Let's see. If I pull up the rankings, and we have lightweight. 4 is Dariush and 5 is Chandler. We putting that on the prelims?
No.
Dariush versus Chandler. Is that going on the prelims?
Absolutely not.
I mean, come on, dude. This is insane. Piotr Jan versus Chito Vera. That going on the prelims?
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arnold Allen versus Josh Emmett? Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, once you start going up in the divisions, maybe, right? We got
yeah, probably.
We got Alexander Rakic versus Anthony Smith. That's a main event if I ever seen one. But Regent says reminds me of them pretending Nate Diaz wasn't a star for years. He just doesn't move the needle. Now here he is about to make millions of dollars fighting Jake Paul after he's washed and he's old.
Oh Lord!
But regardless,
Brandon Royval go watch? Yes, it's here in Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But Nicolau versus Royval, it's like Royval has. I'm pretty sure he's gotten a bonus in every single one of his fights, except for the one where he tore his shoulder against Moreno. Right? Nicolau is an interesting fighter. He's coming off a big knockout over Matt Schnell that everybody all of a sudden thinks Nicolau's a killer, even though it's like his first finish since fucking. It was his first UFC finish. But regardless, he's on an upward trajectory. He got gifted a decision over Manel Cap. They mention it, and he's like, yeah, he's very careful on the outside. He picks his moments, and it got him a win over Manel Cap. He's a very measured fighter. And it's like, yeah, but nobody thought he actually won that fight. Maybe don't bring that one up. Maybe just bring up the Schnell fight where he fucking broke the dude's face. But regardless, these are two exciting guys coming into a fight. One's coming off a knockout. The other one is kill or be killed in there. And we put it on the prelims, and it's not even the main fight on the prelims. It's crazy to me. And then what happens? They go out there, they're trading a little bit, and you're like, ooh, this is looking good. These guys are fastest in the sport. And Nicolau comes in lazy, and Brandon Royval steps in, lands a knee that the commentators couldn't even see, and just shut the lights off. That was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Better knee. Barboza or Royval?
You got to go Royval, in my opinion. Ooh. The Edson one was fantastic, but it was off a shot. It was off a takedown. It's a lot easier to knee someone in the face when they're shooting on you. But Nicolau was going in for a punch, and Royval just brought the knee all the way up and completely flatlined him. Finished him with some punches that probably didn't need to happen. But did you hear who's Nicolau dating? The fighter.
Who?
Damn. I forgot who he's dating a fighter. She's in his corner. He was in her corner her last fight.
Oh, you gotta look
it
up.
And you can hear her scream.
I'm curious. Now I'm curious. You gotta look it up.
I'll find it.
But, I agree with you 100% on the knee. No, I didn't.
She screamed. When that knee landed, the commentators didn't see it, but she saw it. And she screamed. It was go back and rewatch that one. When he lands the knee
or something?
Yeah, it's like it's bad.
No. Really?
Yeah. When I was watching it live, I was like, was that a girl screaming? And then rewatched it, and I was like, that was a girl screaming. And then I went on Reddit, and was like, who was it?
To get knocked out is one thing. To get knocked out in front of your girl, though? Oh, no.
Against a guy nicknamed Raw Dog?
Oh, no. It's just
tough, man.
More fuel to the fire, no. Oh, man, that sucks for Nicolau. But what are you going to do?
Pedro.
I don't know who that is.
You know her. We've talked about her on this on this show.
Maybe if I see
she's a strawweight. She's 11-1. She just beat Karate Hottie.
Oh, recently?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, muito bom for Matheus Nicolau. That's very good.
And condolences.
Yeah.
Boa noite.
Which means a good night for Nicolau. Yes.
Yeah, but Royval going into this or coming out of this, He's saying that they're in talks now to have him as the backup for Moreno versus Pantoja. And so,
in case of dude, well deserved.
And here we are. This guy just won a fight that got him a title shot potentially. And it's on the prelims.
Yeah.
Can you think of another fight that a guy got a title shot off of a prelim win? I'm sure it's happened.
Not off the top of my head, yeah, but not off the top of my head.
Yeah,
rough, dude. Rough.
That would have been crazy if you pulled something out. You're like, actually,
I've been waiting for the day we'll ask me this question.
Yeah. UFC 187.
Well, that'd be nuts. I can't even remember the fights from 2 weeks ago, bro. So I'm not gonna remember something. UFC 187. All right.
Yeah.
We also had one of the best moments of the night, I think, right? But it came after the fight of Zak Cummings versus Ed Herman.
You know, going into this fight, you're like, if someone turned this on, they'd think, hey, this organization is stealing all the UFC graphics. This clearly isn't a UFC fight based off these two guys. But that being said,
hey, Zak Cummings looked pretty good.
In the fight, he definitely did. But at the weigh-ins, look at him.
Oh, okay.
I mean, come on.
That's what you're talking about.
This doesn't look like the two of the highest caliber athletes that are in the premier organization. But that being said, they look
no worse than DC in his prime. And DC was a double champ, bro.
Yeah. But these guys went to war. Zak Cummings, his timing was fucking beautiful. He's beautiful. He's catching Ed Herman coming in, cracking him, dropping him like multiple times. I think he had like 5 knockdowns in this fight. I mean, and then it's like, I mean, yeah, he beat Ed Herman, right? Cool. But then he retires. And they both retire. And you're like, this is how it should be every time. Felt really bad for Ed Herman to get his face broken and get dropped that many times in his retirement. Meanwhile, at the same exact moment, some guy just came off like one of the greatest like feelings in the world, probably, just beating someone down in your home crowd and then retiring in front of everybody who loves you. And then on the flip side, there's a guy who just got his ass beat who also retires. It's like, damn.
Yeah,
that's rough, hard, dude. Man.
But
that's hard.
You know, I get where you're coming from, but also I don't feel too bad because Ed Herman decided not to move his head at all when he was coming in.
I don't think he physically can anymore, man.
That's the thing. He looks stiff, and I know that he's
old,
I know he's older, and they were like, he still looks in great shape. I'm like, yeah, 42. But he can't move.
He's 42.
He can't move.
He could lift. He could clearly lift.
Yeah. He could lift. But yeah, it was a rough night for Ed Herman. Congratulations to him though on a long career. I think they said he was in Ultimate Fighter 3, season 3, was it?
Was it 3? Could have been.
I'm pretty sure that's what they had said.
I mean, dude fought Jake Shields. You know, he made his UFC debut against Jason McDonald in 2006. I guess he technically fought on the finale. He fought Kendall Grove, Scott Smith. He fought Alan Belcher, Kyle Noak. Damn, remember Kyle Noak? Man, so promising. Jake Shields, Jacare. I mean, Derek Brunson, Tim Boach. Like, he's fought guys that are like, I've been gone for a while. You know, Brian Ebersol, remember him? Fought Glover Teixeira in Sport Fight 9 and beat him.
What?
Yeah, he beat Glover in 2005. Prime Glover.
Wow. Prime Ed Herman then was
Prime Ed Herman. He's been doing it a long time, man.
Yeah. But congratulations to them. It was a nice thing to see Zak holding his little girl in the octagon and talking about retirement and the fact that, oh my God, it was so good. Such a good moment.
And he was all right. He was on fire. He was on fire. What a great fight from him. Great.
Everything was slow motion for him.
Yeah, and for me too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. that's pretty much how Herman was moving.
No disrespect. Ed Herman, you're a legend.
Legend.
All right. With all due respect.
We had Gillian Robertson versus Piera Rodriguez.
Speaking of with all due respect, Robertson is a savage. She's a savage. Mm-hmm. She has one of the scariest submissions I've ever seen against Agapova. And going into this one, man, just so crafty. Because it's like that's the hard thing. It's when you get these specialists, these jiu-jitsu specialists who can hit the submissions in MMA fights, which are very hard. But then it's like, how do you get it to the ground? It's so hard to do. And then she was like, I'll just pull guard.
Yeah.
I'll just bring you down with me if I can't get the takedown. And then you get comfortable there and you're like, I can stay on the ground with her. No, you can't. And you shouldn't, because she is so good at finding the finish on the ground. So good.
Rodriguez just looked lost for a little bit on the ground when she was on her back, and Robertson was smothering her. And she made one of the mistakes that like I made in day 2 with Professor Adrian, which is just try to push off with both of my arms.
You can't do that.
And keeping them up there to try to maintain or keep some type of gap, because you're just giving up your limbs for an armbar. Yeah. And so the second she does that, I was like, what is she doing? And then like literally 2 seconds later, I'm like, well, there it goes. And it's over.
And the commentary team was like, yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that for like 30 straight seconds. And they're like, because you can get armbarred. You don't want to do that. And then the armbar came. It's like, that's why you don't do that. And then the tap situation was weird. Did she tap? Did she not tap? And then it looked like she tapped before as she was rolling. And
then Keith Peterson was like, too, right?
Yeah, he had a bad night, honestly. And then
he kind of thought about it. He was like, did she tap? Did she not? You know what? Let's say a tap.
And and then he's like, it was a verbal tap, actually. It would have been better if he was like, no, you went like that. That's a tap. You don't get to fake that shit. That Brazilian tap, all that stuff. But you don't get to do that. But then he's like, no, it was a verbal tap. It wasn't because you actually tapped. It was a verbal tap. She's like, what?
So did she say like tap, tap, tap? Or was it just from like agonizing pain?
Yeah, because if you scream, that technically counts.
Yeah.
In the rules, that counts. So they went with that. But regardless, she was. And I hate this argument. People say they were going to get the finish anyways. So it doesn't really matter. It's like, well, I've seen weirder things happen.
We probably would have said that with Tony Ferguson too.
I was about to say Tony Ferguson, Charles Oliveira. It's like you never know. Paige Van Zandt, Matt Hughes, Hoist Gracie. It happens all the time. But people said the same thing about Chiesa versus Kevin Lee. Remember, like he was gonna go out, and it's like, yeah, but he didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't tap.
Yeah.
So
rough. Poor Keith Peterson. All right, this last one. I did not watch, so you're gonna have to fill me in on what happened.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, we're running out of time too, but Zellhuber versus Lando Vannata, just a fun banger of a fight. Just a fun banger of a fight. Zellhuber looks so sharp. He looks so like mechanically sound. If you were like, how do I learn this technique? You watch footage of this guy throw it. He looks so good. And he's cracking Lando. He hurts Lando bad in the first round. Almost finishes him. I believe he got a 10-8 round on some of the judges, maybe just one.
Oh.
But Lando, tough as nails, gets out of it, and then wins the second round. And you're like, God damn. It's like, is Zellhuber gassing? But Lando's doing this great shifting footwork, like TJ Dillashaw-esque. He's shifting in and out and landing with these shots. So Zellhuber like doesn't see him coming. He like thinks it's this coming, and then it's a hook. It's like, oh man. I thought it was that. And then he's like, last time he did this, he came in with the hook, uppercut. And he just looked so good.
I feel like I'm there right now.
Yeah. Lando's just coming in.
Oh, dang.
And then the third round, Lando's getting tired too, because it goes both ways. And the third round was very close. Zellhuber takes it. So he gets the win. But Lando, he always looks so good, but can like never quite get the win. I feel like I've seen it so many times where he does so many things that look slick and it works, but he just can't quite get the win. And I saw somebody talking about this fight, and it's like, man, it seems like Lando doesn't really care about winning. He just wants to do cool shit in there. And it seems that way. I'm sure he wants to win, but that's what it seems like.
I mean, this picture's pretty cool.
It's pretty fucking cool. Fun fight, though. Very fun fight.
Zellhuber lost against Charles Jourdain last.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he did beat Mike Grundy, but before that, he lost to Bobby Green. So it's been a little bit of a rough go for Lando.
But also, Bobby Green, so good. But the other thing too, I'll just talk about it briefly. Jocelyn Edwards versus Cutelaba. One of the worst judging. I mean, it was awful.
Really?
I think before the third round ended, the live odds had Cutelaba up like, I think it was she was like minus 2,000 or something like that to win, and then they're like, Edwards got it. And everyone's like, even Fitzgerald was like, we'll be quick because we don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but that is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And it was like, whoa, Fitzgerald's going off. Wow. He never goes off. It was bad.
The judges were probably like, dude, we can't lose our parlay in the first fight.
Yeah, they're like, shit, guys, what are we going to do about this? Like, no one's going to care. Just give her the decision.
They all just look over each other and give each other the wink, you know?
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
All right. I didn't see anything to cover for Moment of Silence. Was there anything?
Moment of silence. I don't think there was any canceled fights on this card.
Wow.
That's a
that
first.
Doesn't happen too often.
If there are, then Tapology doesn't have it. But there were bonuses.
Oh, who got them?
Let's see. We got Robertson with her armbar. We got Royval with his knee. And we got Edson Barboza with his knee. And TJ Brown and Bill Algeo fight of the night. Which I thought
was like they got an extra bonus in there, huh?
Yeah, and Dana said he also gave Herman and Cummings both $50K as well.
What a nice guy.
He was like, I'm getting old, guys. Getting old and getting softer. Like, well, maybe get a little softer.
Oh, that is hilarious. Well, I think that's it, right? What do we have next week?
Next week we have one Fight Night 9, Nongo versus who's he fighting? Harrison, I think.
I don't see it. Oh, there it is.
Why does it have Tapology? What are you doing?
Yeah, it has Nongo versus Haggerty.
Yeah, Nongo versus Haggerty. Bo Kang's on the card. He's always super fun. It's a fun fight. It's a fun card.
Okay. We're going to cover the main card from that one, is it?
Sign Pitch Fairtex, Philippe Lobo. That's a great... Oh, come on. This is going to be sick.
Yeah.
Nongo is one of the best strikers in the world right now. Everybody should know his name.
So do we not have
UFC? We have
UFC Fight Night.
Pavlovich versus Blades.
That's a good fight.
It's a good card, man. Song Yadong versus Ricky Simone. Tavares versus Bruno Silva. Bobby Green versus Jared Gordon. I mean, come on.
Milsberger back in there.
Yeah, against Jeremiah Wells. It's been a while since we've seen him.
Honey
Yaya's in there. We'll see if he makes it. Montel Jackson. Where's he been?
Great singer.
Yeah. We got Muhammad Usman versus Junior Tafa, who Junior Tafa also announced this is his last fight at heavyweight. He's going to go down to light heavyweight. We got Dana. Come on. It's a good card.
All right.
It's a really good card.
Well,
good weekend of fights coming up.
And thank you to everybody that joined us. We had Regen, Wide Body Media. If y'all haven't had an opportunity to check out Regeneration Nation TV, it's a fun YouTube page where they cover a lot of like unknown singers, untapped talent.
That's cool.
Have you watched it yet?
I haven't. I need to.
Yeah, dude, check it out. Wide Body Media, have they joined us before?
Yeah.
They have, right? Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody that joined us. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're trying to reach 3,000 subscribers. I feel like not that long ago we were trying to reach 2,000. Now we're at 2,200, right? So thank you everybody that has joined us, and storyofthefight.com.
Storyofthefight.com. It'll list everything: Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, all that stuff. Just storyofthefight.com. Click through each of them. Makes it easy.
You know what it doesn't list though is who produces our podcast, and this podcast is produced by Mr. Richard Bustos himself. No sound effects?
Maybe I should list that. We should list it on there.
We'll throw it on there for Rich for sure. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another week of Story of the Fight.